We turn now to Olympic gold medalist Shawn Johnson, who took the witness stand on Thursday in the trial against her alleged stalker. She described what it was like to learn a stranger had traveled across the country in a car full of weapons with the intention of marrying her. Clayton Sendell has the story.
Watching Shawn Johnson compete on Dancing with the Stars, Robert O'Ryan was apparently hearing more than music. His attorney says voices told him the 17-year-old Olympic gold medalist was in danger, that he needed to protect her. In court Thursday, the teenager confronted her alleged stalker face to face, telling a judge, "I didn't know him. He was a stranger to me. To see someone with that kind of obsession made me really scared." In March 2009, O'Ryan drove his car from his home in Florida to California, making no effort to hide his infatuation with Johnson from an Alabama cop.
She's an Olympic gymnast. She's on TV now.
5 days later, he arrived in Los Angeles. O'Ryan allegedly climbed the fence of this LA TV studio where Dancing with the Stars is based. He was arrested, and in his car, police found 2 loaded guns, a wooden club, and a roll of duct tape. Investigators also found gifts, poetry, and cards. One poem read, "We will be together to stay, and no matter what you do, I will always love you." Johnson considered quitting Dancing with the Stars. Out of fear, she switched hotels and cars and canceled all personal appearances.
She has to convince the judge that primarily she was afraid, that she was being stalked, and it put her in fear.
O'Ryan has pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. If he's convicted, a judge will decide how much time he will spend in jail or a mental institution. Clayton Sandell, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And joining me now to dissect this case is forensic psychiatrist Dr. Michael Wellner, and not guilty by reason of insanity. It seems like a lockdown case to me.
Well, it may or may not be, but it's an unusual strategy because even though he had weapons in his car, he was approaching her in a way that was non-threatening. So the charges that he's facing, how much time would he get if he actually pleaded guilty? If he is actually found not guilty by reason of insanity, this is the kind of case where he may be locked up longer than were he to just throw himself at the court and say, "I pleaded guilty."
Why?
Well, because the judge has the power to say, can he be released to the community? And if he has a chronic mental illness, and if he has an obsessional attachment, and that's what stalking is, it's all about this obsession, this could last for years.
But when you look at a case like this, when you see the kind of delusions this man was having, there certainly seem to be strong signs that something's terribly wrong with him.
Sure. The crime itself is peculiar. You know, he gets into a car without any kind of planning, packs all of his stuff up, and goes right to a studio and climbs over a fence. That in and of itself, there's something unusual. And then we've heard something about other kinds of symptoms that suggest what kind of illness he has.
But you think, even given all that, it might have been a better strategy for him to plead guilty?
Well, I wonder, of course, not examining him, not being part of these discussions, we understand within the system that there are some people who are found not guilty by reason of insanity who actually end up locked up much longer than were they just to be pleading guilty, to be involved in the correction system and have some aftercare plan in which they're getting the psychiatric care that they need.
And you believe that in this case there are some signs of schizophrenia?
Well, what we've heard is that he was saying that he was communicating with her telepathically, that he was communicating with her by ESP, and he may or may not have been hallucinating. We know that he had a decline, a deterioration in his life. And so that's the kind of quality that you would see in that condition in particular.
When someone, Shawn Johnson, obviously a celebrity, well known, when someone gets the sense that a stalker is on their trail, what are the best things they can do to protect themselves?
Well, what's unusual about this is that it's not just an issue of his being obsessed with her, it's that he's willing to get into a car and drive all the way across the country. You cannot quit on your life. You can't just go back to Iowa, because if he can find you in Los Angeles, he can find you there. Protect yourself. This is what bodyguards are for. And typically the person who obsessively follows someone, if you make it clear to them, you're stalking me, and I will go to the police, and you do go to the police, then those protections are available. And a way to buffer yourself is to no longer have contact with them and to have that bodyguard, that physical presence to protect.
Okay, Michael Wellner, thanks very much.
Appreciate it.